Los Observadores. Un espacio de reflexión académica, aunque ligera, que surge de la observación de cómo las tecnologías nos cambian la vida. Una producción de las áreas de Comunicación y Derecho de la Universidad Andina Simón Bolívar. Presentada por el Observatorio de Ciberderechos y Tecnosociedad. Quien escuche este programa que deje sus prejuicios en reposo. Abrimos.
Yo observo, Los Observadores.
Una vez más estamos aquí. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. ¿Y por qué estamos hablando en inglés? Porque hoy tenemos una conversación internacional. Como siempre, estamos recordando y reviviendo la música, los conocimientos del mundo. Y de nuevo le tenemos aquí a mi querido amigo Lucho, con un invitado de lujo como siempre. Por favor, háblanos un poquito de qué viene ahora.
Qué gusto estar con ustedes, los observadores aquí. Observador 2, reportándose. Bueno, hoy tenemos a profesor Marcel Moritz, un profesional de primera, académico destacado, profesor, me presento, profesor en la Universidad de Lille, director del Máster en Derecho Digital, uno de los, seguramente de los mejores realmente pues en el mundo actualmente.
Muchas gracias.
Desde que cambiaron el pensum, está buenísimo. ¿Qué más decirles? Marcel, aparte, es piloto de avión. Y aparte es fanático de los autos que corren duro, de los Porsche en este caso, sí. Mustang, bueno, clásicos.
¿Motos? ¿Te gustan los motos?
¿Motos también?
No, not motos.
Motorcycle.
Motos no, más carros.
Only cars.
Y bueno, una persona muy destacada del mundo académico, pero igual un ser humano con muchísimas cosas interesantes que compartir aquí. Marcel, por favor. We're going to do it in English, so please, Spanglish, let's say. Okay, so introduce yourself to our people.
Yeah, my Spanglish is absolutely perfect. I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you for the invitation. Perfect. Yeah, everything has been said, I think. Yeah, I'm a lawyer. I'm very focused on artificial intelligence things, data protection, and this regarding public law, so data protection in the public sector, artificial intelligence in the public sector, and what will happen in the next year, so like Black Mirror, you know, and
sure.
how to escape to that, because I don't want to live in that kind of society.
De pronto no queremos escapar tampoco.
Sí. I'm not so sure, because I like some chapters.
Vamos a la primera sección de nuestro programa. Nos vamos a la primera sección de nuestro programa, interestelar, extraños futuros que nos afectan y toda la onda de siempre. Bien, hemos hablado un poco de la inteligencia artificial en el sector público, un poco este tema de lo legal, ¿no es cierto? Y hablaste de Black Mirror también. First question, ¿no? ¿Es posible que todo el sector público se integre a la inteligencia artificial?
Yeah, I think it's possible. Well, in fact, the thing is that we have big companies, you know, I mean, Google, such kind of companies, they have a project for us, really. They're not just corporations. They're not just here to make money. They want to change a lot of things. And it has been in the literature for more than 10 years. Then companies like Google, for instance, they want to rebuild states, nations, reshaping them. And yeah, of course, I think they can replace states partly or completely, but it's possible, yeah, definitely.
But Skynet. Skynet, sí, el momento en que tienes todo unido, eso es lo que en Terminator le Skynet, facilita, Skynet, es lo que le facilita a Skynet controlar todo, porque controla el sector público realmente. El sector privado es lo de menos. Es el sector público el que controla Skynet, ¿verdad? Porque está todo unido. Y si es que hay una inteligencia artificial que adquiera conciencia, que hay investigaciones que dicen que ya tiene conciencia, o sea, que tiene un nivel de conciencia. O sea, a ver, un perro tiene un nivel de conciencia, sí. Así que no es extraño, es un algoritmo.
Un protozoario, de alguna manera.
Bueno, ¿estás refiriéndote a algún asambleísta? Un protozoario, llegando a... Entonces, the apocalipsis es el otro lado de la moneda.
Yeah, I mean, everything is possible. We have artificial intelligence used by states, of course, and we can have a society completely controlled by the state because we use artificial intelligence, for instance, smart CCTVs, cameras, monitoring everywhere, every person. This is possible. The thing is that in a lot of countries now, people are really afraid, I would say, from what companies from what the state can do, but not from what the companies can do. If tomorrow, for instance, I leave you the choice, do you want your data, all your personal data, stored by the state or stored by Google? What do you prefer? I mean, basically, you should maybe prefer the state because there should be a social contract with the state and you should be confident. But in practice, most of the people would say, I prefer Google, for instance, because you mostly trust such kind of companies.
Yes, and they want to be YouTubers, so actually it's better.
Yeah.
Fits them better.
And I don't see the point, because now for more than 10 years, every company like Google, Facebook says, we are not evil. We are here to please the people, to bring new services to them. I mean, don't be evil. That's Google motto. And after so many years, people, well, I think, trust that.
Complicado, pero...
The people. La gente que usa los servicios públicos, ¿verdad? Esta gente que usa los servicios públicos puede encontrarse con un servicio más eficiente. En Quito, tú vas a hacer un trámite en la Agencia Nacional de Tránsito y puedes perder toda la mañana, ¿no? Toda la mañana en el servicio. Entonces tú vas y tienes un servicio eficiente, activo en 5 minutos, 5 minutes. Ya. Sin embargo, hay trámites, hay procesos que tú necesitas preguntar a alguien, un ancianito o alguien que tenga algún problema. Necesitas mirar a la persona para que te explique el trámite, para que te ayude, te guíe, etc. Eso significa que vamos a tener seres humanos en medio del proceso, obviamente, ¿verdad? Pero el porcentaje va a ser de 1 a 10, de 10 a 100, de 100 a 1000, es decir, few humans and all IA. This is the future?
Few humans, a lot of is for me.
I don't know.
Así que le ayudes con la traducción.
Actually, that it's about this ratio between human beings and artificial intelligence, because in public services we need people that is there, but sometimes it's actually the sensory experience that is. I need to look to you. For example, if you are an elderly people, I need to look to you to check that you are actually vulnerable, so actually I can help you. What's gonna be if actually this ratio changes? And now it's full artificial intelligence and few human beings.
Well, in fact, the major problem would be, I think, that the trust will be affected between citizens and the states, because we need to have this kind of trust with public services. And if you have not this interaction with people, this will have severe consequences, I think. Just think about one issue. In the European Artificial Intelligence Act, which is the first regulation for artificial intelligence, it's, for instance, possible to use artificial intelligence to, at the hospital, select people who will be first to see the doctor and people who will have to wait. I mean, in case of an emergency, this really means that the artificial intelligence system will select the people who are going to live and the one who may die because they will not get treatment immediately. Where's the trust? I mean, do you really want the public service working like that? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting. I have to add yes, but you know my risky mind always. I think it depends really. Always it's about cases, scenarios, and yes, we can do that if our hypothesis is that public services work okay.
Yeah, that's sure.
But if you don't have public services that actually work at all, maybe.
Do you prefer a judge that's a human and he's corrupted, or do you prefer artificial intelligence?
It's the same with
it's the same. Exactly, it is the same. But I would rather say, okay, well, first of all, I would say, okay, I prefer the corrupted judge if I know him.
Sure. I will do the same thing.
That is the problem.
How much you want?
But there is a problem. We talk a lot about
Plastics.
this. Yeah, exactly. But just think about this, Marcel. This is a question because yes, I mean, I'm a freak modeling guy. I'm always modeling this kind of problems. And what happens if actually you have judges that are corrupted, but I don't want corruption. The main problem here is that you have two parties in a trial. So I must say, yes, I want artificial intelligence, but the others will say, no, I want a real judge. How can we decide if it's 50-50?
Well, in fact, what I hope is that we have worldwide the same regulation than, for instance, in France, where I come from, because you cannot have a judge judging only using artificial intelligence. You need a human being to do the job at the end of the day. And that's a major guarantee, of course. So artificial intelligence can help, of course, judges, doctors, but at the end, humans must remain in charge. And this is not just a liability issue, because it's also, of course, a liability issue, but not only. It's also a trust issue that you have at the end, a human being deciding. The problem is how much will he really decide.
Pero estás topando el punto, Gonzalo. ¿Qué opinas tú? Decision making, tomar decisiones, es un arte, lo que llamamos, pero tiene que ser un arte informado. Pero al final el humano es el que toma la decisión. ¿Qué opinas tú?
Esa es la discusión. Mi propuesta o mi idea es que el ser humano va a estar en un papel de supervisor de la IA. Tiene que estar, o sea, hay que preparar a seres humanos para que supervisen la IA. Eso implica una pregunta que la hicieron en la serie, en esta película de Watchmen, los vigilantes, ¿no es cierto? Y la pregunta es, ¿quién vigila a los que vigilan?
The problem is
los vigilantes. Esa es la pregunta ahora, ¿verdad? Porque tú mencionaste Google, Apple, está bien, ¿no? ¿Quién vigila a los que los vigilan?
El Estado.
¿Quién vigila al Estado? Porque eso es clave de la democracia.
No, ¿qué es primero, el huevo y la gallina?
Es que estamos en una nueva etapa de la democracia, ¿no?
Chicos, no hagan esto en casa.
Una nueva etapa en la democracia. La democracia es contrapesos, ¿no? I watch to you and to watch him and him.
Yeah, it's a major question because, in fact, the problem is not only who is going to supervise, but is it possible to supervise? Because the major problem is black box in the artificial intelligence systems. Because with black box, you cannot supervise because you just cannot understand what's happening, basically. So you have data going in, you have a result coming out, and between, you don't know what's happening. And this is a major issue. Just I can give you an example. In France, I'm working with a research project for the police. They have an algorithm developed to, for instance, enhance the pictures from CCTV cameras in order to, for instance, read a plaque on a car that is not readable by humans. Okay, so it's like, you know, the CIS, Los Angeles, you know, you have the plaque, you see nothing, and then the computer will show it clearly to you. The problem is the system is inventing things. I mean, you talk about hallucinations. It's like an hallucination. I mean, the system is generating data in order to fill the void spaces, and at the end you have a plaque. But no one is able, sometimes, really to explain how this result comes. And if you come to a judge and you go to jail, maybe, because the guy says it's your car, how can you say the reverse if it's a black box? It's impossible to prove. Sure. The algorithm has wrong.
Yes, it just makes me remember this movie, Justicia Artificial. Es catalana, es Cataluña. Y justamente coincide en eso, de que mi argumento es que podemos auditar, we can really audit software, training, calibration, and then testing. Podemos auditar lo que es el entrenamiento, la calibración y luego testear con eso.
¿Hasta dónde? Porque lo que dices black box es...
Sí, pero eso es lo que te digo. El problema es este. En cambio, yo voy a otro asunto. I go to another layer. Because not everybody has the knowledge to do it. No todos pueden hacerlo. Pero
sometimes it's even impossible.
It might be impossible really a lot of time, and this is dynamic. And probably you have access, tú tienes acceso for the LLMs, but not for the racks.
The racks?
Racks. Porque el argumento son como data pools que tienes para que se conecten los LLMs en tiempo dinámico. Pero en todo caso, on the other hand, how can you actually audit a human being? That's even tougher.
It's impossible also.
So then it's actually what is better?
Tengo aquí una...
My answer is this. Let me say. My answer is this, Marcel and Gonzalo. My answer is it depends the case, and that is something really legal.
It
It depends the case.
Es a Trump.
Okay, go ahead.
A ver, Anthropologic es esta empresa que está estudiando la caja negra, ¿no? Black box. Entonces, comienzan a hacer un algoritmo muy parecido a como la neurociencia investiga el cerebro humano, aplican esa estrategia de observar el cerebro que son finalmente, no puedes ver todo el cerebro, sino una parte de eso, y le aplican a este black box, a esta caja negra de inteligencia artificial para observarle funcionar, ¿ya? Entonces le preguntan, ¿cómo hiciste este cálculo? Y la inteligencia artificial te dice, me parece que hice de esta manera, ¿no? Comparas la respuesta de ella con cómo lo hizo y no son iguales, ¿no? De la misma manera que si yo te digo cómo elegiste el traje azul, tú dices, esta mañana vi el cielo azul y me dio ganas de ponerme, pero tu cabeza procesó un montón más de datos, ¿no? Y eso no llegó. Entonces, ahí tienes un nivel de conciencia porque está tomando pensamientos propios y decisiones propias.
Yeah, pero
Entonces ahí, ¿cómo aplicas lo que tú dices?
No estoy de acuerdo, porque si tú tomar decisiones propias no implica que tienes conciencia.
¿Quién dice que no? ¿Qué es la conciencia? Preguntémosle.
Conciencia es cómo percibo mi entorno.
Justo. ¿Y
Eso
cómo
es.
resuelves a su entorno? Y lo están haciendo.
En este caso...
Pregúntale.
Okay,
Pregúntale.
go ahead. What do you think? Yes. ¿Qué era?
El tema del black box, de cómo
Yes.
observar la neurociencia.
¿Cómo se ve la neurociencia?
Pero hazle el resumen en inglés.
Sure. Actually, how you look at it, especially thinking that we talk about black box. So what happens if there's kind of a conscience evolving and we cannot take it? Actually, similar that we were talking yesterday is actually the interaction between AI agents somehow. So yes, exactly.
Machine interaction.
So my question is, I just say
Machine and human.
taking a
Machine,
decision
human, machine.
doesn't necessarily mean that you have conscience.
I don't think so.
Yes, was the last thing too. But what do you think about that?
But what is conscience?
What happens with the black box? And then decision making. But what happens with the black box? Yes, what's the risk, especially for humankind?
Well, it's simply that you cannot analyze how it works. You cannot, for instance, and this is a major issue when it comes to public law, in public law you must be able to go to a judge to challenge a decision from the administration, which is very important. I mean, I want a visa to go somewhere, I don't get the visa. I must be able to challenge that and to say, you should have granted me the visa. Okay, basically. Artificial intelligence will be possible tomorrow to grant a visa or not to someone according to the system, and the system will say yes or no. The problem is when it works like a black box, how can I, as a citizen, challenge that? I mean, because simply to challenge a decision, I need to know why this decision has been made. How? I need some reasons for that. And this is what I will challenge, not the decision itself, but the decision making, in fact, will be challenged. And if I don't know how the decision has been made, I cannot challenge it in court. And so, in fact, it takes away from me the right to go to judge, which is a major issue.
Is possible that algorithm corruption? O sea, que el algoritmo sea corrupto.
Of course. Sure. If you know the guy who's training.
Independent. O sea, un algoritmo comienza a tomar una decisión, ¿no? Y prefiere una cosa a otra.
Yeah, in fact, you see this every day.
Corrompe a sí mismo como una conciencia.
I don't know if it's corruption, but if you use ChatGPT, for instance,
sí,
you use ChatGPT. ChatGPT wants to give you an answer all the time. Never say I don't know, but wants to give you an answer, and most of the time wants to give you an answer that is going to please you. Most of the time. No, it's true. For instance, I have challenged ChatGPT asking if ChatGPT can create a slogan for me, for an ad. And he said, yeah, for sure, let's go on. Perfect, I can do it. No risk. And then I asked the same question, saying, are you very sure that there is no risk? Will not someone maybe go to court and sue me because of, I don't know, intellectual property risk or something like that? And then he said, yeah, you're right. Yeah, there is a risk. You should maybe not do it. And so he always wants to please you. And at the end of the day, he answers the same question with two very different answers just because he wants to please you. So I don't know if it's corruption, but it proves that, it's not always straight. It's something that sometimes can be under influence.
Yeah, but I just would say more than corruption is actually bias. Es el sesgo que tienen los datos, como los entrenas y como qué resultados.
Pero no estoy hablando de sesgo, estoy hablando de la posibilidad de que algo vea por sus propios intereses y no por public interest.
Claro que sí, y ese es un problema. Pero vamos a la siguiente parte del programa.
Vamos a la siguiente parte de nuestro programa. Pues vamos a tecnomúsica, música que siempre nos ha pegado un poco a raya con las tecnologías. Y vamos a escuchar...
Pero agarre su pareja primero.
Agárrense de las manos. Vamos a escuchar algo que se llama beatbox. Esta cosa de beatbox es la capacidad de hacer sonidos de música electrónica solo con la boca. Es impresionante. Vamos a escuchar una canción que es muy famosa en el círculo de la música electrónica, que es Dopamine. Todo es hecho con la boca. Tito, rueda tape. Ahí se lo oye un poco mejor.
The brain's motivation neurotransmitter, dopamine.
Bien, espero que hayan movido el esqueleto y todo lo que hayan podido. Era un buen tema musical para mover la casa, para barrer, arreglar, cambiarse de ropa, para cualquier cosa. Sí, es música profunda. Bien, y ahora vamos a cuestiones un poco más personales. Quería preguntarte sobre el tema de los autos, ¿no es cierto? ¿Te gusta la velocidad?
Sí.
Es piloto.
Por eso pregunto. Así, bueno, cuéntanos algo de tus experiencias. ¿Cuál es la mayor velocidad a la que has llegado? ¿En qué automóvil? Sí.
Well, the quickest was like 280 on the highway in Germany. That's very fast, isn't it? It is.
Promedio. Promedio de velocidad.
Promedio.
Average velocity.
Average means nothing in Germany. In a highway, you know that there are always
your
traffic
velocity average. So your to record.
Yeah, my record is 280 on a German highway, which is very fast. I must say, maybe a bit too fast.
Okay.
I hope my students are not listening.
Oye, a ver, quisiera que le preguntes, haz el resumen de esto, ¿no es cierto? ¿Cómo relacionas este gusto por ir a 200 kilómetros por hora, ¿no es cierto? Con algo tan estático como el derecho o con la profesión que tienes, ¿no es cierto? ¿Cómo se...?
It's not static.
Bias.
Esperaba que contesten eso. Porque sé que los dos...
Because I'm a lawyer and I'm very serious, you think I'm a serious guy.
Okay. Tú dices que los dos son muy dynamics, the profession and
Sure. Things are changing a lot all the time. No, it's full of dynamics to teach the law. If you teach digital law, I mean, of course, if I teach history of law, it's not the same thing. But digital law for sure is changing all the time. And we are wearing suits, but we are fun guys, aren't we? He's a rock star. I mean,
Yes, and
es cierto, rockstar, yes.
yes. But actually, I look like John Wick today.
I'm a petrol head. He's a rock star.
Okay. Sí.
Pretty cool.
And actually, the first time I heard from Marcel this, la primera vez que escuché, I said, just like Bruce Dickinson. You know, the singer of Iron Maiden. He tours and he drives it.
Yeah, because he's a pilot, but he's a pilot of big.
Do you
jet.
have children?
I have a daughter, yes.
One daughter.
Yeah, she's 7.
¿Qué edad tiene?
7.
7 años. ¿Y la llevas contigo en...?
No, sí, in Germany once, yes, absolutely.
Tito, llámame la Dinapen. Dinapen es el social service.
But not so fast. Well, once over 200, but not so fast. No.
¿Y el costo de manejar un avión? O sea, ¿tú pagas por el avión, lo alquilas?
You pay for it or perhaps you rent it?
For the plane? No, you have to rent it. But it's a small one. It's just a 2-seater.
How much?
It's not that expensive, like 130 an hour. But it's not so expensive.
That's okay.
It's like jet ski.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's like jet ski.
Oh, and what kind of airplane?
It's a small one. It's a 2-seater. So it's just 2-seaters.
It's a baby airplane.
It's a baby airplane, but it flies like 240. So it's quick.
Okay.
It's nice.
Okay.
I'll say something. Gonzalo is a moto freak.
Yeah, we can see that.
Yes.
What is your motorcycle?
Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650.
Great.
And he's a communication teacher.
Okay. You know that afterwards I go to Costa Rica. And I have a friend in Costa Rica. He has a Ducati Diavel.
Ducati.
Yeah, that's nice. I think it's the only one in Costa Rica.
La empresa está en crisis, ¿no? Ducati.
Sí, un poco.
Sí, está totalmente en crisis, ¿no? Pero bueno. Ok, entonces retomemos un poco esta onda de lo público y la inteligencia artificial. ¿Sí? A ver, inteligencia artificial en manos de Maduro en Venezuela, sector público. ¿Cómo le ves?
Do you want me never to go there, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. Well, in fact, let's say something a bit broad, but to try to answer the question. Technologies, digital technologies, they are just tools, basically. I mean, you can do well, you can do bad. It's just a tool. It's like a knife. But just listen to that. You have blockchain, for instance. Blockchain could be something to empower people, to free people from public influence. Think about Bitcoin, for instance. I mean, could be something, money with no state. I mean, that's a great idea. That's very punk, in fact. But think what China is doing with crypto yuan, for instance. I mean, you have a money, a coin that is on the blockchain, that is in the hands of a state. It's the ultimate control tool, basically. So it's the same technology. It's just that it depends who is managing it, but it can do good, can do bad, can be a tool of surveillance, can be something that empowers people. It depends what you do with it. Always the same thing.
I have a philosophical question. Yo pienso que la tecnología no es neutral. Sí.
No es.
No es que la usas, no es cómo la usas. La misma tecnología tiene un diseño hecho para. Efectivamente puedes utilizar el micrófono para golpearlo, efectivamente. Pero el diseño para captar sonido de ambiente es diferente que el diseño para captar sonido directo de la voz. O sea, tiene una concepción y detrás de eso está la cultura, ¿verdad? Así que yo no creo que las tecnologías puedan ser tan simples de puede usar uno. Y ahora que tenemos del competidor a China, ¿no? A China diseñando tecnologías, estamos mirando intenciones diferentes en la arquitectura de la tecnología. Y eso va a tener consecuencias en el servicio público. ¿Cómo evaluarías efectivamente estas diferencias o cómo lo evaluarías tú?
How would you evaluate actually such differences? Let's say that China right now is implementing on public service, but actually I think the question goes more to, technology is not neutral, but still, I would just say, what is behind technology? Actually, if you don't have democracy, you don't have democracy without technology. You won't have it when you implement technology. Maybe that's
architecture.
Yeah, one problem is
the architecture is intentional.
Yes. Sure. And the maturity of the citizen who are able to challenge it or not, who are willing to challenge it or not. We may not think the same way in France, for instance, or in China, or here in Ecuador. People may think in other ways because they have other priorities, basically. The thing is that in the US, for instance, people wanted a lot of freedom and no control of the state. And then came September 11, and things changed a lot. In Europe, for instance, we had terrorist attacks 10 years ago, a lot of terrorist attacks, and that changed also the mindset of people. And when you are under such kind of influence, you will way easier accept, for instance, a surveillance society, basically. So I think one should never think that people are so different and that, for instance, a French guy, French Revolution and so on, he will stay on his freedom. No, depends on what's happening. If you are under terrorist attack, everything will change, for instance, and people just want to be safe and no matter their freedom.
¿Estás de acuerdo tú?
Totalmente.
Muchas gracias.
Es que sí, somehow we're still humans, and I think the human instinct, the most powerful one, is survival.
Sure.
Survival. Then come other things, just like privacy,
Sure.
That's what I believe. Yeah.
Me voy a explicar mejor después de escucharte, ¿no es cierto? Sí. El servicio público, mediado por la inteligencia artificial, está pensado para los individuos, ¿sí? Para cada persona, ¿no? Sin embargo, por ejemplo, en Ecuador tenemos otro tipo de individuos que son las comunidades, que piensan en comunidad, ¿no? Y la inteligencia artificial no tiene esa estructura, su diseño no es ese. Por eso a eso me refiero con no es neutral. Eso aplicado es yo soy comunidad. No, tú no eres comunidad, tú eres individuo. No, yo soy comunidad, yo soy mi grupo. Y así piensa, hay estudios que muestran eso, ¿no? Cuando tú vas al campo ecuatoriano y preguntas quién eres, te dice, soy de allá, del grupo. No soy Gonzalo, soy Suara, soy de la comunidad, ¿no?
Yeah, and this is real. Technologies have an impact on people and change. That's true. The way the people have their freedom, the way they can express themselves, and of course, it's kind of it makes it like flat. Everything treated the same way. Which is stupid, because of course we are all very different and we expect other things, and in fact the system might unify all that, which is a huge problem, of course, because we are not all the same, basically, and so we don't want to be treated the same way. We have other expectations, can be ethnical differences, can be cultural differences, no matter, and this is something that will not be taken into account by the system most of the time, because the answer given by an artificial intelligence system will be the same whether you are part of this community or this community most of the time, I will say.
Yeah, but actually, I just got to add something. There's something else there, I believe, because you have this general perspective, but actually then the second layer is customization. Perhaps you will get a new kind of cultural code because it wouldn't be like here's your region, here's your community. It would be more like you all like to watch hip hop guys doing skateboard, and that would be the new code. So actually, should be a killer of somehow ethnology. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, and the problem is also that the algorithm, I mean, we see that with social media, for instance, where the contents are really, really tailor-made for you. They kill all the differences because they show you always things that you are supposed to like. And in fact, it kills all the differences, pluralism also. And this is also something that, makes everything flat, as I said before.
Nueva colonización.
O sea, tengo una iluminación.
¿De qué?
Una iluminación. Alabado sea el Señor. Porque es una paradoja, porque el socialismo lo hizo, ¿no es cierto? Cuando Lenin toma el poder en Rusia, los cosacos eran una comunidad muy, muy fuerte, muy dura, ¿no? Y entran prácticamente en guerra y los arrasa, porque decía, usted es parte de la comunidad, ahora usted es socialista, todos somos iguales, todos merecemos, y acabó con la cultura, ¿sí? Entonces, es lo que tú estás planteando.
Comunismo algorítmico.
Sí.
It's a risk, yes.
Pero desde el capitalismo. Sí,
Mucha ficción.
Pero no es práctico.
Can be.
Lo acabas de decir. You say it.
Yeah, if you take an example, I mean, there is, for instance, I'm very focused on smart CCTV. I love smart CCTV studies. Analyzing people's behavior through algorithm and identifying people who don't behave in a normal way. Okay? Sure. This is interesting. And this is not science fiction. This has been tried, for instance, during the Olympic Games in Paris. There were algorithms, for instance, to see if people behave in a way that is not normal. And what is a way that is not normal? It's, for instance, if people go this way, you go the other way, and this is not normal, for instance. Okay. So what's the result of that? Well, the result is that the algorithm may identify you, say, oh, there's a guy there, he has not a normal behavior. Sí. And the police will come and check what's happening. Hey, man, what are you doing? They're all going this way, you are going this way, there's a problem. And then, what's happening? I mean, people will have this kind of chilling effect. They will no longer behave in a different way, simply because they don't want to be bothered by the police asking questions. And then we'll have people all behave in the same way, just because they are frightened of the algorithm showing that they don't behave like the others. And this is a high risk. And at the end of the day, you have all the people behaving exactly the same way without having to sanction people. It's just because they know that they are under surveillance. If you know that you are under surveillance, your behavior will change. I mean, that's Orwell, it's not new. Yeah. And that's a problem, the chilling effect.
¿Y cómo solucionas el problema?
Not using the technology, for instance. That would be a good thing.
Tribu.
Yeah, I know. It's complicated.
Go to the tribu.
Now time to go to the third part of the program.
Ok, bueno, y vamos a la última sección de nuestro programa. Tienes derecho a permanecer callado. Y ahora un poco en la discusión caliente, ¿no? ¿Qué es lo que vamos a plantear a discusión? De hecho, ha sido todo todo este programa ha sido una discusión permanente.
A mí me ha servido para despertarme porque estaba dormido.
Así, efectivamente. Como verán, pongan este programa si es que están dormidos y se van a despertar, ¿sí? Bueno, yo quería finalizar con esto preguntándote qué es lo que te ha parecido más importante de los temas tratados, un poco esta síntesis de lo que tú has visto que parece relevante.
I think that we should stress the self-determination of people. This is very important, that people are able to self-determinate. And take into account that technologies, as we said, are not neutral and that they can affect the self-determination of people. Like, for instance, what I said a couple of seconds ago, like, you're under surveillance, even if there are no consequences, or you not go to jail, but even if there are no severe consequences, if you know that you're under surveillance, your behavior will change. And this is, again, self-determination. And I like to be free. I like to be able to self-determinate myself and to take decisions. By the way, we were talking about driving faster car in Germany. That's self-determination, basically. I mean, there's a risk.
On my motorcycle.
Sure, you drive very fast, but you don't do that if it's rainy. Yeah, but you don't do if it's rainy. You don't do if it's windy. You don't do if it's at risk to kill all the people, I think.
I think I...
Maybe. No, that's not good.
Intentional...
You're killing my example.
Certainly, I need to kill some people.
But actually, lo que me llama la atención es que desde ese punto de vista, la piedra angular de la humanidad no es el sexo, es el riesgo de lo que puede pasarte.
El sexo es un riesgo, pero claro. me cae una pregunta por mi país, por Ecuador, ¿no? Y es... deberíamos preparar a comunidades, a colectivos, a grupos indígenas, étnicos, para que puedan construir su propia inteligencia artificial, ¿no? Y poder alimentar a personas como tú en la reflexión de cómo el sector público debe generar normas para que la inteligencia artificial respete el servicio público, lo colectivo, porque no puedes decirle, no puedo atenderles a todos, ¿no? O solo puedo atenderte a ti. Es que no soy yo, somos todos. ¿Sí? Dale un beso.
¿Cómo era?
Sí, que deberíamos desarrollar inteligencia, deberíamos formar a grupos colectivos, grupos étnicos, indígenas, a grupos colectivos para que desarrollen su propia inteligencia artificial y puedan alimentar a investigadores.
I think the most important thing, I get it. The most important thing I will say is that people are aware of what's happening. This is, I think, the most important issue. I mean, just think of history of the internet. In the 2000s, the first social media have evolved. Like 2007 with Facebook, for instance. And it's only now, like almost 20 years later, that people start becoming conscious of the dangers, like the filter bubble, the way it has an impact on what we think, on who we are going to vote for instance, the danger for democracy, with TikTok, for instance, manipulation of people. I mean, it took almost 20 years. Which is too long. So I think what is very important is to educate people that they are aware of the risks and opportunities also, because it's not just risk, it's also opportunities of technologies. And that means, in my opinion, for instance, kids like 10, 11 years old, they should be taught the issues of digitalization. Not the legal issues, but the issues. What impact it has on democracy, on their future, on self-determination, again. Because it's the same thing with social media. I mean, it's against my self-determination. If I'm in the filter bubble I always see the same content that pleases me, I don't see the content that doesn't please me. And this is a problem, because if I want to be clever, I need to see things I like, but I also need to see things that I don't like, because that's what's going to make me clever. To be able to analyze that, make my own opinion. And I think this is something that should be told to children today, not to adults, but to children at school.
Ok, podemos finalizar. Thank you.
Muchas cosas locas, en realidad. Y bueno, quisiera agradecer la presencia de Marcel Moritz, profesor Marcel Moritz.
Marcel Moritz.
Que es profesor en la Universidad de Lille. También
Lille es en Francia.
Espera, me he olvidado de algo.
En el norte de Francia.
También
es profesor en la Universidad de Andina.
Sí.
Simón Bolívar, por si acaso. Sí.
Por si acaso.
Por si acaso. Aquí tenemos
una lectura.
Aquí nos encanta tener profesores abiertos que, además de ser unos expertos en Derecho Digital, pilotean aviones.
Así es. ¡Bravo!
Y muchas gracias por su invitación.
Gracias a ti.
Muy simpático. Gracias a todos ustedes. Y entonces, Gonzalo, despídete de nuestra audiencia.
Bueno, nos veremos como siempre en Los Observadores. La próxima vez hablaremos chino, sánscrito o cualquier idioma que se nos ocurra. Un abrazo a todos.
Chao.